Marcus Hayes, a calm and collected black man in his early 40s, was driving home on a quiet suburban evening. The sky was painted with fading hues of twilight, streetlights casting a soft glow along the tree-lined roads. The gentle rustling of leaves and the occasional chirping of birds created a serene backdrop as Marcus navigated his well-maintained sedan with practiced ease. Dressed in a crisp button-down shirt and slacks, he exuded an air of quiet determination, his mind already shifting between thoughts of dinner with his family and the work he had left unfinished at the office. As Marcus approached a familiar stretch of road near his neighborhood, the sudden flash of red and blue lights behind him made him instinctively check his speedometer. Momentarily startled, he realized he was driving just a few miles above the limit. He gently eased his foot off the gas pedal and pulled over to the curb, the soft hum of the engine quieting as he came to a stop beneath the warm glow of a street lamp. Officer Davis, a middle-aged white man with a weathered face and sharp eyes, stepped out of his patrol car. His uniform was crisp, but his stance betrayed a mixture of routine and alertness as he approached Marcus's vehicle. The evening air held a subtle tension as the officer's footsteps crunched on the gravel shoulder. Marcus rolled down his window, his expression composed but attentive. "Good evening, sir," Officer Davis began, his voice steady but carrying an undercurrent of authority. "Do you know why I pulled you over tonight?" Marcus nodded slightly, meeting the officer's gaze without hesitation. "I believe it's for speeding, officer. I'm sorry if I was going over the limit." There was a pause, a moment where the stillness of the night seemed to amplify the unspoken weight between them. Officer Davis scrutinized Marcus for a beat longer than usual, his eyes flickering with a hint of suspicion beneath the polite exterior. Marcus's hands rested calmly on the steering wheel, fingers interlaced. His voice remained measured, respectful. "I was trying to get home quickly. My wife is waiting, and our youngest isn't feeling well." The officer's brow furrowed slightly, surprised by the swift candor. "Is everything okay? What's wrong with your child?" Marcus took a breath, appreciating the shift in tone. "She has a fever. We just got back from the doctor, and I wanted to make sure I was home in case she needed me." Officer Davis nodded slowly, his posture relaxing a fraction. "I understand. I'm sorry to hear that." Marcus's calmness was not born from naivety but from years of navigating similar encounters. He knew the delicate balance in these moments, where tension could escalate if met with resistance or fear. Instead, he chose candor and composure, qualities that often went unnoticed but could sometimes bridge divides. As Officer Davis reached for his notepad, Marcus offered his license and registration without hesitation. The officer's fingers flipped through the documents, his eyes scanning the information, while Marcus kept his gaze steady, neither confrontational nor submissive. The night air was cool, carrying the faint scent of freshly cut grass from nearby lawns. A few distant porch lights flickered on as residents settled into their evening routines, unaware of the quiet exchange unfolding on the roadside. Marcus's car sat patiently, the interior lit by the soft glow of the dashboard. Officer Davis returned the documents with a clipped sound. "I'm going to run your information, sir. Please remain in the vehicle." Marcus nodded, settling back against the seat. He pulled out his phone briefly, dialing his wife with a calm voice. "Hey, it's me. Got pulled over, but everything's fine." The officer's being professional. He paused, listening intently. "Yeah, just waiting for him to finish. I'll be home soon." The call ended, and Marcus placed the phone down, folding his hands in his lap. He noticed the officer speaking quietly into his radio, the soft crackle of static punctuating the calm night. Officer Davis glanced back toward Marcus's window, his demeanor shifting once more. "Do you have any idea how fast you were going?" Marcus answered evenly, "I think I was going about 45 in a 35 zone. I apologize for that." His voice carried no defensiveness, only acknowledgement. The officer exhaled, a sound that mingled relief and lingering caution. "I appreciate your honesty. Speeding can be dangerous, especially around here." Marcus nodded. I understand fully. I'm usually more careful, but tonight felt urgent. For a moment, neither man spoke. The tension that had once hovered seemed to dissipate, replaced by a mutual recognition of the human element behind the uniform and the driver's seat. Suddenly, the distant sound of a dog barking echoed down a nearby street, a reminder of the neighborhood's quiet life. Officer Davis looked up at the sky, now deepening into night, before turning back to Marcus. I'm going to let you off with a warning tonight. But please, keep it safe. Your family needs you. Marcus's lips curved into a faint, grateful smile. Thank you, officer. I appreciate your understanding. As Officer Davis returned to his patrol car, Marcus started his engine, the quiet purr breaking the stillness once more. He glanced at the rearview mirror, watching the officer's car fade into the distance as he merged back onto the road. Driving away, Marcus felt a subtle weight lift, but also a lingering awareness of the fine line walked in moments like these. He knew that not every interaction ended this way, and that his calm and respectful response had played a crucial role in diffusing what could have become a fraught encounter. As the streetlights blurred past, Marcus's thoughts turned to his family, their well-being the anchor grounding him amid the challenges of the day. Tonight, the quiet suburban road held a story of restraint, understanding, and the fragile hope that respect could sometimes bridge the gaps between strangers. Back in the patrol car, Officer Davis settled into the driver's seat, the familiar scent of leather and faint aroma of coffee lingering in the air. The dashboard lights cast a muted glow across his face as he powered up the radio and began typing Marcus Hayes's information into the computer. His partner, Officer Lee, a younger man with a sharp jawline and an easy smile, sat beside him, glancing over with mild curiosity. Well, Lee said, breaking the silence, how'd that stop go? Davis exhaled slowly, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. Not like most. The guy was calm, respectful. Told me straight up about his kid being sick. Didn't get defensive, didn't try to argue. Just honest. Lee nodded, his eyes thoughtful. That's pretty rare. Usually, folks get anxious or irritated when they get pulled over. Yeah, Davis said, tapping the keyboard. Made me think about all the times I've had to deal with people who weren't like that. Quick to get defensive, sometimes even hostile. Maybe I was too quick to judge. He glanced over at Lee, who raised an eyebrow. You're saying you're second-guessing how you handled some of those stops? More like questioning the assumptions I carry into each one. Davis's voice lowered, almost to himself. I've stopped plenty of black drivers who acted nervous or combative, and I've thought it was because they had something to hide. But maybe it was fear. Fear of being treated unfairly or seen as a threat. Lee leaned back in his seat, folding his arms. It's easy to forget that we're dealing with real people, not just stats or suspects. Sometimes I think the system sets us up to look at people through a lens of suspicion by default. Davis nodded, his eyes fixed on the screen as the computer beeped, confirming the clear record of Marcus Hayes. I looked him up. No tickets, no criminal history. Just a father trying to get home to his sick kid. The weight of that realization settled heavily. Davis recalled a dozen similar stops where tension had escalated unnecessarily, where his own impatience or bias had played a role. I don't know, Davis admitted. Maybe if I'd approached those stops with the same patience I showed tonight, things might have gone differently. Lee smiled faintly. It takes a good man to admit that. Not all of us do. Davis exhaled deeply, looking out the window at the quiet street bathed in moonlight. I'm going to bring this up at the precinct. We need more discussions about this, about bias, about how we treat people. It's not just about enforcing the law, it's about serving the community. Meanwhile, miles away from the patrol car, Marcus Hayes was seated at his kitchen table, the soft hum of the refrigerator the only sound breaking the stillness. He held his phone in one hand, his voice calm as he spoke. I'm fine. The officer was professional. Just waiting for him to finish running my info. His wife's voice came through the line, tinged with worry. Are you sure? You sounded tense. I was, at first, Marcus admitted. But I stayed calm, explained the situation. It seemed to help. She sighed with relief. I'm glad you handled it that way. You always do. Marcus smiled softly, the warmth in her voice easing the lingering unease. It's important. These moments can go either way. Back in the patrol car, Officer Davis turned off the radio and settled back into his seat, the night stretching out before him. The encounter with Marcus stayed with him, a quiet reminder that every interaction was more than just a routine stop, it was a chance to see beyond assumptions and recognize shared humanity. As the car's engine hummed to life, Davis glanced toward the passenger side where Lee was reviewing the same data. Let's make sure we don't forget this one, Davis said quietly. Maybe it's the start of something better. Officer Davis stepped out of the patrol car and approached Marcus's vehicle once more, the night air cool against his skin. The streetlights cast long shadows across the pavement, and the distant hum of a lawn mower completed the suburban calm. Davis held the driver's license and registration in his hand, his expression softened by the reflection the past minutes had brought him. Mr. Hayes, Davis began, his tone measured and sincere, I'm going to let you off with a warning tonight. I appreciate your honesty and cooperation. Marcus's eyes met the officer's, a quiet gratitude shining through his composed demeanor. Thank you, officer. I promise to be more careful. Davis nodded, slipping the documents back into his wallet. I hope your daughter feels better soon. As Marcus started his car and merged back into the quiet street, Davis returned to the patrol vehicle, where Officer Lee waited. The younger officer gave a brief nod, understanding the significance of the moment. Later that week, inside the precinct's briefing room, Davis stood before a group of fellow officers. The atmosphere was filled with the low murmur of conversation, punctuated by the occasional clatter of keys and shifting of chairs. He cleared his throat, drawing attention. I want to share an experience from a recent traffic stop, Davis said, his voice steady but earnest. It reminded me, and I hope it reminds all of us, that every person we stop is more than just a case number. They're individuals with stories, fears, and families. He recounted the encounter with Marcus Hayes, the calm demeanor, the honesty about his sick daughter, the mutual respect that guided the interaction. The room grew quieter as officers listened, some nodding thoughtfully. This isn't about leniency, Davis emphasized. It's about empathy and understanding. Bias, whether conscious or not, affects how we do our jobs. If we're going to serve this community well, we need to recognize that. Officer Lee chimed in, maybe we can work on more training focused on de-escalation and recognizing our own biases. It could help us build better relationships with the people we serve. The idea was met with a few murmurs of agreement. Captain Reynolds, standing near the back, stepped forward. I appreciate this conversation. We've been discussing ways to improve community engagement, and this is exactly the kind of dialogue we need. Meanwhile, Marcus had begun to share his experience with neighbors and friends. At a local community center meeting, he spoke candidly about the traffic stop. His voice was calm but carried a passionate edge, resonating with those gathered. I was stopped for speeding, Marcus explained. But what made the difference was how I responded, and how the officer responded to me. It wasn't just about the law, it was about respect. Several attendees nodded, some taking notes. Marcus continued, we all want to feel safe and seen as human beings. Open dialogue between residents and police can help bridge the gaps we've been living with for too long. Officer Davis arrived at the meeting late, quietly taking a seat near the back. When Marcus mentioned the importance of understanding and empathy, Davis felt a surge of hope. After the meeting, the two men exchanged a respectful nod, a silent acknowledgement of the steps taken and the road ahead. Back at the precinct, the leadership team began implementing new training modules focusing on cultural sensitivity and de-escalation techniques. Officers were encouraged to reflect on their own biases and to approach every interaction with humility and openness. Over the following months, Marcus's informal advocacy gained momentum. He collaborated with local leaders to establish community forums and legal aid resources aimed at fostering trust and supporting those who felt marginalized. Officer Davis found himself sharing the story of that one quiet night stop with new recruits during training sessions. He emphasized the power of patience and the importance of seeing beyond the badge. One evening, as Davis and Marcus crossed paths near the community center, they exchanged a brief but meaningful conversation. The tension that once might have existed between them had been replaced by mutual respect and a shared commitment to progress. Their story was not about a single moment but about the ongoing effort required to build a community where safety and respect go hand in hand. It was a reminder that change begins with small acts of understanding and the courage to confront one's own assumptions. As the sun set over the neighborhood, casting a warm glow on the faces of those gathered in dialogue and cooperation, the quiet promise of a better future lingered in the air, a future shaped by empathy, respect, and the shared humanity that connects us all.